Software engineering is not the dream job. Sure, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars right out of college, but there is more to a job than just the money that you make. In this video, I want to expose the truth and talk about the reality of some downsides about working in this field as a big tech software engineer myself. Disclaimer, all opinions are of my own and don't reflect any of the companies that I currently work at or have worked at before. First con about software engineering is the salary. Now, you're probably pretty confused because this is generally seen as a pro. You get to earn so much money, like your base salary, equity, bonuses, and I know people who have quite literally made $400,000 right out of college by going to a quant firm. But you know, your salary, it's a pair of golden handcuffs. The more that you earn, the tighter those cuffs are. What does that mean? I know a lot of software engineers who want to start their own thing, whether that be a business, startup, or any passion project, but they literally can't get themselves to quit because the money is so good. On top of that, these companies will pay you on a cliff sometimes. The longer that you stay, the more equity, stock grants that you get, so you pretty much never want to quit your job, even if there's a better opportunity out there for you. Think of the NBA, for example. There are players who choose to stay put on one team their whole career and never switch out. They'll earn like crazy amounts of money, like $50-60 million a year, but they actually might be in a better spot going to a different team that only pays them $20-30 million a year, but actually having a chance to win a championship and build a legacy. Similarly, software engineers will never start their own businesses because they earn way too much and are way too comfortable. Next up, we got on-call support rotation. Now, this is probably every software engineer's worst nightmare. On-call support is basically you're this 24/7 customer support representative for your team. Anytime there's an issue with your product or service at your company, you need to be able to help out and debug the issue. For example, if you're a YouTube engineer and this video crashes for some reason, there's probably a software engineer working to fix this issue. And these issues can come out at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. at night, and you need to be willing and ready to help out. The bright side is you're only on call in this role for maybe 2 weeks every 4 to 6 months, but during that 2-week span, you can be dealing with multiple different customer cases. And customers, they're humans, and sometimes humans get angry. Having to deal with an angry customer that's a Saturday night or even during the holidays is not something people typically enjoy. I mean, I don't enjoy it. It's also one of the most stressful times because there might be an issue with your product that you have no clue whatsoever about. I'm a YouTube software engineer that built the subscribe button, which you should click if you haven't already, but the customer has an issue with the like button. Then me as an engineer, I need to get in contact with those other engineers who actually worked on that product before, and sometimes coordinating everything with all eyes looking at you, the customer is looking at you, leadership's looking at you, support engineers looking at you. It's a stressful time. Con number 3 is your health. Now, I won't say this is necessarily a con, but rather something you need to be aware of. Otherwise, it can turn into a con. As a software engineer, most of the day, you're sitting down, working at a laptop, staring in front of a screen for 8 hours. That will take a toll on your health. People say sitting is the new smoking. Actually, that's why I personally invested a couple $100s to get this nice, long standing desk, as well as an under-the-desk treadmill to help me get a couple extra steps throughout the day. A beer belly is one thing, but a software engineering belly, that's just embarrassing. But also, your mental health is up for a challenge. Software engineering, especially remote software engineers, can be pretty isolating. And coming in from a college environment as a young person where I was extremely social, it's been a tough adjustment. So you really need to be cautious and actually scheduling breaks or actually making an effort to go out, meet people, touch grass. Otherwise, you'll face burnout in your career before you even get deep into it. Con number 4, and this is very obvious, but coding is not easy. I mean, if it was, software engineering salaries probably wouldn't be as high as they are, but coding is tough. It's challenging. That's why we see so many people struggle with computer science, because at the beginning, you fundamentally need to change the way that you think. Instead of rote memorization like in biology or psychology, you are made to be a problem solver. Even me as a person who graduated from Georgia Tech with a bachelor's and master's, when I first joined my team as a software engineer, I struggled a ton, whether that be with simple code syntaxes, needing mentorship, or even submitting a code review, getting feedback on it, fixing it up, getting more feedback on it, fixing it up, and this constant endless cycle of feeling insufficient and having imposter syndrome. But having the mentality that everything comes your way is a learning opportunity, and actually wanting to learn and recognizing that failure is part of the process and not a reflection of your own character is an important mentality to have if you want to be successful as a software engineer. Con number 5, and now this is probably the most annoying thing in software engineering, and that is you have to be constantly learning. Because what was popular 10 years ago is no longer popular now. Like, who still codes in Fortran? And also, what was popular now is probably not going to be popular 10 or even 5 years from now, especially with AI coming into play. And so even though you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in a college education just to learn a technology, you gotta kind of learn how to learn on your own. Especially in 2024, AI is a serious threat to your job, and if you don't learn how to use it, you will be replaced. The bright side is, however, the foundational principles behind computer science and the world of computing will always stay the same, because computer science at its core is just problem solving very efficiently. So it honestly doesn't matter whether you use Java, Python, C++, because at the end of the day, they all do the same thing, but look a little different. You just need to recognize the differences and adopt accordingly. Con number 6 is the lack of creativity and coolness. So a lot of what drives people into computer science is the cool different coding projects, machine learning stuff that you get to see people do. And I'm here to tell you, a lot of the time, it's not those glamorous things that occur. That machine learning thing, it's beautiful, but 90% of the time, you're not working on those things. You're working on smaller, not cool things that usually don't get noticed beneath the water. I one time had to develop this computer simulation that used genetic algorithms to solve this resource allocation problem. 90% of the time, I was actually developing the simulation, like UI gaming stuff, but 10% of the time was actually that cool machine learning things and the genetic algorithms thing that I said. And unfortunately, the reality of the matter is you have to go through that 90% to actually enjoy the 10%. Similarly, on the job as a software engineer, a lot of the stuff that you do is working within these things called sprints, which is basically a 2-week formal process for you to develop a certain feature. This process is called agile development, and it's really good to ensure quality, timely product delivery. But on the engineering side, it's straight monotony. You need to sort of work within these parameters of this like cookie cutter system that's been given out to you, which stifles your creativity as an engineer that wants to just keep developing and building things at your own pace. Con number 7 is there's a low barrier to entry. Now, why is this a con? In 2023, 2024, companies pretty much just went on a firing spree just because they don't meet a certain budget. If each employee was a little more valuable, meaning that it was really hard to replace an employee, then it would be really hard for companies to do layoffs. They can just pretty much pick up the next guy on the street as long as they meet the minimum requirements. In fact, 25% of programmers don't even have a degree. As long as you're able to show the skills, they don't really care if you're self-taught or went to a boot camp. Con number 8, big tech hype life is flaky. When you first join big tech, you're very, very excited because you're not only getting a high salary, but you're getting all these perks like being able to travel, getting meals. Google even offers the employees free massages. But as you go on through the weeks, the months, the years, the novelty of those things pretty much goes away and you sort of start just expecting your lunch at the office. You stop thinking twice about the fact that you have a whole free gym facility because you just get used to everything. So a lot of these perks are a way for companies to lure you into working at their company and get you excited. But if you really want to be successful, you need to pick a company that you actually enjoy working at, something that you actually believe in their product. The companies sometimes can randomly just take their perks away. They've done it in the past. So there should be more to the company that you're working at than just like the benefits they offer. Well, that's about all I have for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you weren't discouraged too much from being a software engineer. Now, if you're interested in more content, you probably want to hit the subscribe button and also check out this interview right here that I had with the Google software engineer.